Ooh, welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for you. I have on Zoom with me right now Alan Blumenfeld, and he played Larry in Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. And no, this is not an April Fool's joke. Hey, Alan, how you doing?
I'm doing really well, thanks. I got both vaccines, so I'm feeling less frightened.
Awesome, that sounds great. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you.
Not a problem. First question I got for you is how did you get your start into acting?
Oh my goodness. Well, I started acting when I was 7 years old. I went to a sleepaway camp
Okay.
in upstate-ish New York, mid
Hmm.
upstate New York, Catskills, and they every group, the juniors, inters, plebes, and seniors, each did a play every year, and I did a play called The King Sneezes when I
Awesome.
was 7, 8, something like that, and I loved it. And then when I went home, I did more theater in school. We
Awesome.
had a very active high school. By high school, we had a very active the woman who ran the chorus.
Hmm.
She had she would do various different chorus things, and she would
Right.
do a musical every year. And I did three leading roles, and I was hooked, line and sinker. So
Awesome.
14, 15, 16, by high school, I realized this is what I'm going to do for my life.
Awesome. That sounds awesome.
I've
So
been very lucky.
definitely, and not a lot of people can make it into show business, and you're one of them, obviously, that has, and that's an amazing accomplishment.
Yeah, I think the make it thing is like, can you? To me, it's always been about longevity. Can
Right.
I can I make a living? Can I still make a living?
Hmm.
Can I survive the pandemic and make a
Yep.
living on the other side of that? We'll see.
Sounds great. So about Friday the 13th, Part 6, what was your audition like?
Oh wow, Tom McLoughlin, one of the sweetest. He's just such a nice man. He
Yes.
ran the Los Angeles Mime Troupe. I don't know
Hmm.
if you talked about that when you
Yes.
interviewed him.
I interviewed
Uh,
him, yeah.
I thought he was. Uh, you read the script. It's a horror film. I like horror movies. I think
Hmm.
it's fun. And the audition, he was so kind, so gentle,
Hmm.
so easy. God, I haven't seen him in forever. And the audition was fun, light, uh, comfortable, and really, from what I remember, a joy, a blast, a joy.
Right. Right. And yeah, me and Tom became really good friends actually. I interviewed him and then we became pretty decent friends and we talk every now and again and we're obviously on each other's Facebook and he set me up with a couple of actors from Part 6 that, obviously like you send them a message and you're friends on Facebook, but they don't know how legit you are because they
Right.
don't really know you. So I do what anybody would do if they want to get somebody on their show if they can't, get a response back. And hey Tom, do you mind reaching out and do me a favor, buddy? And he's like, absolutely. And then he reached out to a couple of people and he's like, you know what, you're set. He goes, go message them now, they'll respond.
Well, that's so cool. Yeah, I'm glad
Yep.
to know that. If next time you speak to him, send him my dear regards, and
Absolutely.
I'm gonna friend him on Facebook.
Absolutely, definitely. So next question I got for you is your death scene. It was obviously an original one to say the least. A triple decapitation. I mean, we've seen decapitations, but not a triple decapitation until this movie. So how was that scene filmed and prepped?
Well, that's really an amazing question. So
Thank you.
I found out a lot about how censorship boards are put together,
Hmm.
about what is allowed, what isn't allowed, and about how these gags work. So the first thing about that's what you call these kinds of stunts. They call them the
Hmm.
gag. So the first thing was they made plaster molds of our heads.
Hmm.
So we went to a studio in North Hollywood, and they smear plaster of Paris on your head and give you two straws for your nose to breathe. And then from that, and I'm not terribly claustrophobic. It was not the most pleasant experience, and they knock on the thing to let you know they're almost done. Uh, so that was the first thing, and then they
Yeah.
take it out and they paint it and they sculpt it and they put hair in and the eyes, which are either glass or something like that, I mean, it was such a spectacular reproduction of my head. So several things. Frank Mancuso Jr., right, was the
Yep.
head of Paramount at the time.
Yes.
He liked, I don't know, the rumor was he liked to collect all of these paraphernalia from all the movies. And apparently he had a storage unit where he kept them. Because I wanted to my head, I wanted that after it was over, because I thought I'd serve it to my mother on a platter, you know, of the joke. I didn't get the head, so too bad. So what they did was, we were in the so for the shoot, the shoot itself, for that moment, we were there. The actors were standing there. They then made bodies of us out of, I guess, paper mache, because they couldn't be too heavy. So basically, we were there, and then they would film us, and then he would lift up the machete, and they'd cut, and then they'd put the paper mache bodies in, and the head loosely attached on a wire with something attached to the top. And when the machete went through, the body would drop, and the head would swing and then fall.
Nice.
So that was fabulous. Then what I found out was, in order to pass muster with the censorship board, is that what it's called?
Yeah, the MPAA, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really censorship. It's censorship. It's, you know, what
Yeah.
they will and will not allow seen. So they can show the machete going up. They can show the machete going past, but they cannot show the machete making contact with the neck. However, they would shoot scenes where they would breach that etiquette, so that the censorship board would go, "Oh my God, you can't do that." They say, "Okay, well, here's the alternative," and they go, "Okay, well, then that's fine." So they would purposely show something that was, they knew, too much, in order to get approval for all the stuff they wanted to, quote unquote, get away with. I thought that was a kind of brilliant logistical jujitsu, and I was delighted.
Nice.
So that was great fun. That scene, the whole shoot was just fantastic.
Right, and I'm glad. Like, I mean, I love the Friday the 13th franchise, and Part 6 is one of my favorites. And they have enough blood in it. Like, you know, they have the gore in it. But when you get to Part 7, like, there's barely any gore. The death scenes were very watered down, because the MPAA completely massacred that movie with censoring a lot of the scenes out. So I'm really glad they didn't do that with Part 6, or that could have watered down that film a lot as well.
I think so. And I think, you know, that was one of the lessons that I think I don't know if they had the same production team, but what the production team came up with was, let's show, like, you know, eyeballs exploding, so the censorship board could say, "You can't do that." So, all right, well, can we do this? Oh yeah, that, you know what I mean? That in comparison, that's tame. So that was a brilliant. So
absolutely.
And why is 6 one of your favorites?
I just like the dark elements and the horror elements mixed with the comedic elements, and the comedic elements isn't done to overshadow the horror aspect. Like, they cleverly and subtly insert the comedic elements. Like, for example, they have a lot of gothic horror jokes in the movie. If you pay attention closely, they have the Frankenstein with the Karloff garage and that. And, you know, they just a lot of that. Now, one thing I wish that they really would have kept in the script was, Tom McLoughlin had it in the initial script, was Jason's dad being involved. And I think it was either going to end or start up with Jason's dad, and Elias Voorhees was going to be involved, but they end up kicking that out. And the caretaker, Martin, played by Bob, I forget his last name, I think it's Sarkin or something. He was end up killed off in the film itself. And so they nixed that whole segment. But one thing I really liked about another part of the comedic aspect was, like, for example, the caretaker, Martin, was like an alcoholic. He drank a lot, stressed on the job and that. And he's like, he looks at the bottle, like, "Darling, you're going to be the death of me." He lifts it up. And then there's Jason. He gets it. breaks the bottle, and he kills him with the liquor bottle. And it was literally the death with him.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought that was one of the things about the script that I loved the best was this balance. The story
Yes.
was good. The
Mhm.
characters were human and real. There
Yep.
was enough humor and enough gore that it
Right.
was. The thing is, we shot in Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
which has its issues. We can
Yep.
talk about some other time. But we were in a cemetery,
Mm-hmm.
and we shot under a guy. I forgot the name. There was a make-believe name that they used for what we were shooting because the town did not
Aladdin
want.
Sane?
No, something about the eagle
Oh,
survived.
okay.
I mean, it was really they didn't want to offend the local community
Right.
by desecrating this sacred
Oh, yeah.
graveyard by doing a horror movie. It's like you can't make
Mhm.
fun of
Right.
someone's religion. I can, you can, but if you're
Right.
trying to ingratiate yourself with a community,
Yeah.
it's just not polite.
Absolutely.
And I thought that was kind of also very, because it
Yeah.
was a real graveyard, it was a real place, it was a real
Yep.
town. That kudzu that
Mhm.
grows in Georgia, and which is just so dense,
Yep.
and lush, and creepy. All of that was
Yep.
just, I thought, brilliant. So that was it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know one thing about part 6, they had a lot of firsts. Like it was like, believe it or not, Friday the 13th is supposed to be happening at a summer camp for the most part, right?
Right.
Well, this is the first Friday the 13th movie that actually had children at the summer camp.
Yes. Right.
It was the first and only Friday the 13th that not have nudity in it.
Right.
It's it's the first Friday the 13th to actually have a graveyard.
Right.
I mean,
There
not a
was-
graveyard, a car chase. A car chase.
Oh, a car chase.
Yes.
There was the potential for nudity in one scene.
Yep.
And I know that Tom was very gracious and
Mhm.
gentlemanly
Yeah.
while auditioning for that scene. I mean, the other
Absolutely.
thing about Tom that was so wonderful is, we'd be on the set. It was freezing at night. It was
Mhm.
not freezing. It was very cold at night. And he's all bundled up and the actors are all ready. And Tom would, he's so gracious. He would be like, "Is everyone okay? Would you like some tea? Are you,
Uh-huh.
everyone warm enough? Do you need a jacket? Okay. So this is the scene where we're going to chop your head off." And the juxtaposition between his gentle approach and his
Mhm.
human connection with the actors and what we were shooting
Yep.
was also, it was a great pleasure to me.
That's awesome. That's really cool, actually. So how many days were you on set filming?
Oh, wow. I think it was 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks,
Okay.
3 weeks, something like that.
Nice.
Uh,
Nice.
and the actors, Annie Ryerson, who's wonderful. I don't know if you
I interviewed her a couple weeks ago, I think, or a month ago.
She is absolutely a joy and a great
Yep.
improviser.
Yep.
And also quite an excellent tennis player as well. As
Nice.
And Whitney,
Interviewed him about maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Whitney, he was great fun.
He
So
is.
the three of us were on an airplane, flying to
Right.
Georgia, and we were young. I mean, this is 30 years ago, was it?
At least, yeah. It was out in 1986, I think.
So 33 years ago. So
Yep.
I'm 68 now, so I was 35, 34. We were relatively young. We
Yeah.
were really excited, and it was like, I chose to do this movie because it seemed to have the opportunity. And I'm like, come on, guys. We chose to do the movie because they cast us, and because it'll be a lot of fun to fly to Georgia and shoot a movie, right?
Right.
And to shoot a part of this horror franchise. And then everyone was like, yeah, that's true. It'll be really cool. So, I mean, I had not been on a set, I guess 86, did you say? I had done
86,
Tin Men either before or after, where I was in
Mhm.
Baltimore for 5 weeks.
Nice.
That's the longest I've ever been on location.
Okay.
And I don't remember if that was before or after this one. So just being on
Mhm.
location is really
Right.
fun. You're away. You have nothing else to worry about other than the work you're doing, where you're going to eat that night, and
Absolutely.
and making friends with the set, with the crew, with the
Right.
cast. It is like summer camp in its own way. It's really, really
Absolutely. It really is. And I mean, it's making a horror movie is so much fun. I'm an indie filmmaker myself, and I make horror movies. And I was told that I act better dying than I do being alive and giving dialogue, which is
There
actually
you
pretty
go.
funny.
Well, it's good to have a niche and to know what your
Right,
niche is and then
right.
exploit it.
Yep,
Exactly.
exactly. I'm like, at least I guess I'm good at dying. I guess thank you.
Right. Exactly.
I guess that's a good thing. So, what was the best part about filming Friday the 13th Part 6 Jason Lives In? What was the worst?
Oh gosh, I don't remember there. I know this sounds like bullshit, but it's not. I don't remember there being a worst. I
Hmm.
don't remember there being a bad. I mean, it was cold at night. We were, but I mean, you're working. Any actor, like when I show up on a set, someone says, "How are you?" My
Right.
response is, "I'm great.
Hmm.
I'm working." Any actor who's going to work who says they're not in a good mood is an idiot and or is lying, because to have the opportunity to work is a great privilege and a
Right.
joy. So I don't really remember any worst part. I think the most fun. I mean, the most fun was the paintball scene
Yeah.
and the death scene, because
Nice.
these were all gags that I'd never done before.
Hmm.
And the paintball does hurt. I mean, I will say that. I don't know if you've ever played
I
paintball, but
haven't.
there's a ding. It really it's not quite like a bullet, but it does have a lot of velocity behind it. But it was so much fun because and we all, I think there are scenes of us each laughing as each one of us gets hit. And
Yep.
the laughter is real because, there's the
Hmm.
reaction and then everyone else laughing, and then you're going to get your turn as well.
Right.
So that sequence and setting up the head chop, those
Nice.
were the highlights clearly.
Nice.
Of
That's
and
awesome.
then seeing it, when we got back to LA, and I don't remember how long it was. It was it's usually a little while. But
Yeah.
go to the screening room at Paramount and seeing the film, it's oh my God, here, and you get to see everyone again. And
Yeah.
a friend of mine calls what we do migrant film workers. I don't mean to be rude to the people who work so hard to bring us our food,
Right.
um, but there's a thing about we come together in these groups
Hmm.
of 100 or several hundred people,
Yep.
and it's very intense for a very short period of time, and then you go away, and you may
Hmm.
never see anyone again, or you may not see people for quite a long time.
Yep.
Uh, but it's very, especially if you're on location, it's
Yeah.
very intense. It's very intimate in the sense that you are
Hmm.
the family that's there together.
Right.
Uh, so but the sequence, that whole sequence of paintball and head chop was clearly the
That's
highlight.
awesome. Yeah, and it's funny because like I interviewed over at least 105 to 110-ish, give or take, celebrities over the course, and like I would say 85% of them, maybe a little bit more than that, is Friday the 13th stars.
Oh
And
wow.
they all said the same thing you did about the worst. Like they can't think of a worst. Like that's how fun being in low budget horror movies really is, that you can't think of a worst. Like a lot of them say the same thing you do, like maybe it's cold or whatever, like, and that's just, they even say that's just nitpicking because they can't really come up with an actual worst.
And a lot of it, comes from the top down. It's like
Hmm.
Tom, and I don't know, I don't even remember who the producers were.
Hmm.
Not out
I
of
don't
any,
remember them off the top of my head neither.
yeah, and
Yeah,
not out of any disrespect, because
yeah.
that whole team, that whole management team, and beginning with Tom and going on, were so
Hmm.
attentive and
Hmm.
aware of everyone's comfort. And
Yep.
when you're doing something low budget or lower budget, you've got to be more organized. You've got to be
Hmm.
more attentive because you're trying to accomplish a lot in a short period of time with not
Absolutely.
a lot of resources. So you're really requiring
Yep.
everyone to come with
Yep.
your A game, be as creative as you can, solve the
Yep.
problems together. So I think because of that, because of the people at the top,
Yep.
it sifts down.
Absolutely. And I think that's why part six is one of my favorites and one of a lot of people's favorites, is because it was done brilliantly, and it was done by Tom McLoughlin, who wrote it and directed it and knew exactly what he wanted and exactly how he wanted it done, and he made it happen.
Absolutely.
And he's a brilliant director and a brilliant writer. And I mean, it obviously shows in the work. because every day that goes on that you have to film extra is obviously money being lost.
Correct.
And he made sure that you wouldn't go over that budget, because you're given that budget and it's like, you can't go over this. Like, you have to be in this budget.
You know, I did another low budget film, much lower budget, called Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, okay.
Which I don't think ever, I don't know if it was released, but anyway, it was not as well organized,
Right.
let's just say, and it was years ago, but the powers that be got to the point where, you know, it was just taking too long and costing too much money, and they came in and said, okay, we're only going to give you 2 cans of film, and that's all you have for the day. And I remember thinking, dude, we're making a movie. We need the film. You know, do away with lunch, but don't do away with the actual film. But I mean, you know, this isn't a, you know, you have to be organized. You have to be more organized than
absolutely
a big budget movie. So
right, like our first feature film was super low budget. Like, we didn't even have a budget. It was all out of my paychecks every 2 weeks. That's where everything came from.
Yeah,
so like so thankful we did have a casting call and everything. We all became like real close family. We still talk to this day. They're involved with other projects coming up and everything like that. And we even made a Friday the 13th fan film together in between between that film and another film that's almost done pre-production. And we became that close that it was like, we're like, okay, so we're gonna get pizza for everybody, and everybody's like, well, we're gonna chip in because we're all gonna consume it. So it's like having that as a family, like where they're gonna chip in with the pizza for pizza for everybody, is actually really cool. That's how, I mean, low budget, and we were gonna buy the pizza, and everybody decided to chip in for it. That's amazing.
Well, that's the kind of camaraderie and fellowship and community that you hope for.
Yes.
And as you know, it's rare. But when it happens, that's a bit of magic. You know, that's a bit of, I mean, look, let's face it, it's great to get paid. I've raised my family. I've got 2 grown kids. I have a house, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But we're in this for the joy of the community.
Absolutely. And that's another thing. We stated first up before the casting call went out, we're not paying any of our actors. We'll provide lunch, which they all volunteered, but we're not paying anybody because it's coming out of my paychecks, and I have my own bills to pay to live and my own food to buy for myself.
That's right.
So, and it was like straight up, we're not paying any of our stars right now because we don't have the money for it. But we had a nice turnout for casting, and we had about 43 people involved, and everything was all casted with cast and crew, which was really nice for a small budget.
Where are you based? Where do you live?
So my film company is called Gravestone Films, and we're based in Ashland, Pennsylvania. But I live in Maryland, in Woodlawn, Maryland, about 17 minutes from Baltimore City. So I end up like when I work full time for the U.S. Coast Guard. So at the time, right now I work from home because of the pandemic. But before that, when we were filming, I was still at the office. So I would work, and I work from 6 a.m. until 3 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and then 6 a.m. until 12 noon on Fridays, because I usually go home because my dad's battling stage 4 brain cancer. So I go home and help my mom take care of him on weekends. So when we were filming, I would literally work, 40 hours a week. And then after my 6-hour shifts on a Friday, I would drive 3 hours back to Pennsylvania. I would have all of my film stuff that's at my apartment so I could charge it up and everything, make sure everything is charged at my parents' place and ready to go, so we're not wasting any extra time. And then I would rest pretty much on Friday while that's charging, because I have a 14 to 16-hour day on Saturday. I have about an 8-hour day on Sunday, and then I have a 3-hour drive back on Sunday, and then another 40-hour work week coming up.
Oh man!
And I did that for 3 months.
Yeah, but you know what? That's the joy. But that's the joy, right? Because then you're doing what you love, and it's a great story. Yeah. And it fuels that passion, that's the joy.
Absolutely. Man. And it was worth it. And I mean, we have another film coming up called 72. Can't get much into it, but all I can say is that it's like a kind of like a suspense type of horror, and I'm really looking forward to doing that as well. And I will do the same thing for that I did for Samhain. I will be more than happy to do the drive and do the work and everything. But now that I work from home, and maybe if we're still working from home when we start filming, I might be able to work from my parents' place, so I don't have to do the 3-hour drives on weekends.
That would save a little bit of brain cells and
Exactly.
a little bit of exhaustion. Exactly.
Absolutely, but it was fun. It was worth it. So did you watch any of the Friday the 13th films prior to filming the one you were in?
I get scared when I watch horror movies. So no,
Okay,
I've seen them since. I've seen pieces
that
of
was
them
my next
since.
question.
I've seen parts of them. I was in a movie called The Ring,
Nice.
which is a horror movie.
Yep.
And when we went to the screening of it, I freaked out so much. My wife was laughing at me. She said, "You're
Yep.
in this. Why are you?" I said, "Man, first of all, I'd never seen it. I read it, but it was a high budget movie, Naomi
Yeah.
Watts. Anyway, but it was, I mean, the special effects were, I don't know if, do you remember the movie? This
Yep,
little
I do. Yep.
creepy kid comes up out of the well.
Yep.
I lost it, man. I was under my
Yep.
seat. So the short answer is no, I didn't see any of them, but I've seen them since, and I've seen
Okay.
Friday the 13th Part 6 twice. So I
Nice.
have seen that, but it's been a while.
Yeah, and the thing is, we both obviously made horror movies, and it's one thing filming a horror movie. It's
Correct.
another thing seeing the same one you were in, because first of all, you don't know how everything was filmed in scenes that you weren't on set for.
Correct.
Secondly, you aren't there for post production, so you don't know what music is added, what jump scares
Well,
and sound
and
effects are added.
the
Yeah,
music, as you well know, makes a huge difference.
it does.
And I remember being at a screening of some movie before the music and sound was added.
Hmm.
And the audience was like, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you realize, oh my God, the emotional effect
Yep.
of having that underscore
Yep.
is fantastically,
Yep.
and it's often obviously, underappreciated.
Absolutely, and that's one mistake we made with sound is we put in the sound effects and everything, but we didn't have that music to it. And it was our first movie, so we obviously made a lot of mistakes, and it wasn't the greatest movie out there, but we learned from it. And our fan film for Friday the 13th was that much better, but you learn from those mistakes, and that's something that we learned. And I mean, obviously, all filmmakers make those type of mistakes early
Oh
on
my God,
in filmmaking.
absolutely. That's how you learn.
Absolutely, it really is. So what was the environment like on set of Friday the 13th Part 6? How was the atmosphere when filming?
Uh, Really collegial, really fun. Everyone, as far as I remember, there were no disagreements. There
Mhm.
was no grumpy Gus. There was no pain in the ass. There was no one who was like, "Oh God, avoid that person."
Mm.
Everyone was in pretty good spirits, and I, as far as I remember, uh, everyone got along extremely well. And again, it comes from the top. Tom
Yeah.
set a tone which everyone followed, which
Mhm.
was we're here, we're in this together. Let's make the best use
Right.
of our time, and let's make the best product
Right.
possible. Did you interview Vinny Gustafaro and
No, I interviewed his wife Cindy Cania.
yeah,
Vinny's been pretty busy lately. I know he was just in Never Hike in the Snow, that fan film. So
got it.
and he had a couple of interviews and that coming up, but I was in talks with him and I'm still kind of in talks with him. He's been a little busy. So Cindy, I've been in talks with Cindy and she's on my Facebook and she said that she's trying to get him to get back to me, but he just can't make the time yet.
Well, Cindy and I have gotten to be very good friends, and
Nice.
Vinny and I are friends.
Nice.
Cindy and I work at a theater together up in Topanga Canyon, Theatricum
Yes.
Botanicum, the Will Geer's Theater. So she and I have gotten to be really close friends over the last
Nice.
25 years.
That's awesome.
And Vinny, we're friends, but we don't spend as much time together.
Right.
Uh, but it had that feeling. It had the feeling of, I don't want to say camp, because summer camp makes it sound too juvenile or
Mhm.
too foolish. It wasn't at all. It was more like, and it wasn't like a party because it
Right.
wasn't pure goofing off, but it was collegial. It was
Mhm.
cooperative. It was,
Yeah.
you know, it was everyone focused. There was a lot of
Absolutely.
focus. It was really good.
Absolutely. So we already spoke a bit about Tom McLoughlin, and I heard amazing things from him, obviously, even from you in this interview. So did he give you free reign to make the character work in the film, or
Oh
how did
yeah,
that work?
totally. So I mean,
Awesome.
he knew very much what he wanted each scene to be about.
Hmm.
He knew very much where he was putting the camera and how it was going to look.
Hmm.
And then other than that, the key was the among the three of us, because we were like a little team. You know, we had to create our relationship and our unit,
Hmm.
and we hung out together off set a lot.
Hmm.
I mean, it was Whitney and Matthew also, right? Matthew, God, God.
Can't think of the last name. Is it Faison?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Matthew Faison.
Yep.
So there were four of us, and we hung out together. We go out to dinner. We hang out. We, you know, that really helps
Mm-hmm.
create the relationship and
Yeah.
the camaraderie and the unit of
Hmm.
moving together. And
Right.
Tom really left a lot of that up to us and the business and how we would, you know, he knew what he wanted. There were certain things he knew he wanted, where we had to stop, where we had to move. But
Hmm.
other than that, it was really, and Annie Ryerson, who's a spectacular improviser and a really talented, among all of us, the most talented improviser. She really helped, you know, shape and move us
Right.
through. So it was terrific. It was terrific to have that opportunity.
Absolutely, and it really is. And like she even mentioned about your scene about how, obviously she's the woman and she's the one that's the last woman standing, and she ended up shooting both you and Matthew Faison's character, and then you had to wear the headbands that said "dead" on it, and then
Right,
literally like
exactly.
2 seconds later, you're all three of you are dead,
Right, exactly, exactly.
which is pretty ironic.
But it was fun.
It was very fun, very fun. So the last question I got for you, do you have any projects, social media accounts, or websites that you would like to promote to the listening and the viewing audience?
Oh my goodness. Well, www.alanblumenfeld.com
Mhm.
has all of my shamelessly self-promoting materials and videos and reels. Um, you know, the last two things I shot before the world went into pandemic was Space Force for Netflix with Steve Carell, and a half-hour show for CBS called Carol's Second Chance with Patricia Heaton. Uh, Other than that, it's been pretty slow. Things are picking up now. There's more auditioning. My wife and I have a company, a business that we've run for 44 years called actofcommunication.com. We teach trial lawyers and we prepare witnesses for depositions and trials using
Nice.
acting skills for communication. Um, Other than that, you know, I don't tweet and I don't Instagram and I don't Pinterest, I do, and I don't LinkedIn, but I do Facebook because
Okay.
I'm old, and I guess that's what old people do is Facebook.
Sounds good. Yep, that's awesome. And also for anybody after this interview is over and anything that you're up to, they can obviously check out your IMDb page and be updated on any projects that are updated on there that you have coming out as well.
Absolutely, thank you, and thanks for the opportunity of talking to you.
No problem. Thank you so much. And before I let you go, just want to let everybody know, if you're watching this video on YouTube, please give me a subscription, subscribe to my channel, comment, like the video if you liked the interview and liked what you saw. If you're listening on all of the various podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, OpenBox, Castbox, Anchor, Verbal, Breaker, Listen Notes, and all the other 25 plus podcasting platforms I'm on, give me a rate, review, comment, like, whatever you can do on there as well. I thank you again, Alan, for joining me. It's been an honor and it's been so much fun. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Please stay safe.
You too, man. Stay safe
Yeah.
and healthy.
Thank you. You too. Bye.